Fear. Fear is what drives avoidant behavior, regardless of whether they're a dismissive or a fearful avoidant. Fear and anxiety are the motivators behind their maladaptive behaviors. Maladaptive behaviors are called such because it hurts both the person doing it as well as those around them. Avoidants have a very specific set of fears. They fear emotional intimacy, they fear engulfment, which is losing themselves in a relationship to somebody who's ultimately going to reject and abandon them, and they fear rejection. Well, this is actually because they fear abandonment. All those other fears tie into their fear of abandonment. This is because the avoidant was emotionally abandoned as a child. Emotional neglect is essentially emotional abandonment. Their parents or their caretakers didn't nurture them in the way that they needed, and their feelings were often routinely dismissed, perhaps even punished. They may have been reprimanded for showing emotions as children. What this does is it teaches them at a young age, if you rely on anybody else for your emotional needs, you are going to get rejected. You're going to get abandoned. This is why they fear emotional closeness, because they learned it equals abandonment. Now, when the avoidant gets triggered, they get into an immense state of fear. It is almost a paralyzing fear. And the way that they've learned to cope with this is to avoid it, to suppress their emotions, to try to block it out to the best of their ability and run away from the problem. So in a relationship, when these fears are triggered, the avoidant will try to distance themselves from their partner, create emotional distance, and perhaps even end the relationship altogether. Even maladaptive behaviors during the relationship, such as stonewalling, gaslighting, cheating, ghosting, these are all fear-based behaviors because they're designed to protect the avoidant by creating emotional distance. That's how they've learned to keep themselves safe and keep their fears at bay. Now, due to a lack of self-reflection, avoidants are often completely unaware that they operate out of fear. It's all in the subconscious. And because they learn to avoid, that means avoiding self-reflection. Because self-reflection is the polar opposite of avoiding. When you self-reflect, you have to process your emotions, not suppress them. You have to face your problems, not run from them. You have to reflect on where you've gone right and where you've gone wrong and take accountability. Accountability requires self-reflection, and also reflect on how your behavior impacts those around you. That is all very painful stuff. Avoidants don't like to do that. They don't like to face painful emotions, so they suppress it. So because they don't self-reflect, they are not aware of their subconscious fears, and they don't know why they get overwhelmed when a relationship is getting close and intimate. What they do is they shut down and they just avoid it. They will blame external circumstances as to why they had to behave the way they did. My partner was just too needy, or I was just too overwhelmed at work. Financial stress was just too much. I'm just not ready for this. I just need some space. But never really taking accountability and looking for ways to project the blame for their behavior onto others or other things. That helps them avoid the fear, avoid processing it, and avoid the self-reflection that's needed to process that fear. But that fear is profound. It is very, very strong, because when their fears are triggered, their entire limbic system is on fire. It becomes completely overwhelming to the avoidant. Due to their lack of self-awareness, this cycle can perpetuate. They can continue to get into relationships, have their fears triggered, push this person away, not understand why it happened, and tell themselves, well, it must be because I haven't found the right person yet. And they keep on seeking that closeness because they do long for it, and then running from it when they get it. These are the behaviors of a person that is very insecure with a ton of fear. A person that does not have fear, a person that is secure within themselves, does not engage in this type of behavior. A person that does not operate out of fear does not run away when things get close. Even though on the outside, an avoidant can seem very confident, especially with friends or in the workplace, they can be very successful. Inside, they are deeply insecure people that operate primarily out of fear, especially when it comes to emotional and relationship issues.